Hey there, and welcome to the podcast Tiling Connect, hosted by Mark Moskwa. This show is designed to connect people with the best information intended to strengthen the business of tiling. To keep up to date with all the episodes, don't forget to subscribe.
Tiling Connect is brought to you by Lux's Grates, the leaders in aluminium drainage, which are UV stable, rust proof and customisable on site. Available at your local tile or plumbing shop. Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome to another amazing episode. We are super lucky, fortunate and lucky again to have another amazing guest with us today. We have Paul Sakoua from Island Tiling in Tasmania joining the show today. Paul, thank you so much for being a guest on the show and saying yes. I know you've got a lot to share, so mate, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for saying everyone's lucky too. I think that's got to be a first. Someone said that. We're actually lucky to have it. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Mate, I don't know whether someone's pulled me up on that once and said, we're not lucky, we're fortunate. And I'm like, okay, sure. Fortunate's another great word. But mate, we're sort of grateful to have you on today. And it's sort of awesome to have another tiling contractor with a wealth of experience under his belt joining us on the show, because I know that a lot of the audience and the community have been they get super excited about having someone else on in their field and learning what they do and seeing what they can apply in their tiling journey as well. So I'm not going to ramble too much, but look, let's just get into it, mate. Tell us about your tiling journey and sort of what inspired you to become or choose this profession as a tiling contractor.
Well, I had no idea about, I wasn't like, I'm going to become a tiler. I wasn't even thinking about getting a trade. I had a family friend offer me an apprenticeship, and I was like, yeah. So I jumped in that. My brother also did as well too, pretty much the same time. So we pretty much did our time together. Worked for about, I think pretty sure actually, it was about 4 or 5 years. So it's like we did our trade and then pretty much went on our own after that. I also was actually, I did a part-time apprenticeship and was actually doing my step getting cookery as well too to become a chef, because Mum always said get 2 trades. But then come to the end of that, I was, I know, right? Look, never lost that skill. It's pretty good, but it come to a point and I was just like, no, I'm definitely going tiling all the way. Like, the pressure in that trade and even the pay too is not even anywhere near it. So and I'm so glad that I went this way. I love the trade.
Yeah. And so when you were looking at tiling, were there other trades that appealed at the same time, or was it tiling was just that was it? You sort of saw that being done somewhere, or?
Yeah, it was pretty much. I think there was talk of building, like there were people getting building apprenticeships and stuff. Once I'd got in the trade, I sort of, you start to see other trades. But none of them really appealed. Like we were pretty much just doing bathrooms, and probably a bit of mix of a bit of commercial and stuff as well too. But yeah, it was just like, wow, there's so much to learn in this. Like, you think you've mastered one thing, but then there's just so much more to keep learning. It was just like, just kept going and kept growing in it. Yeah. And it's still growing, isn't it? Look at the trade now.
Oh, mate, it's phenomenal. It's, particularly the limelight that is shone on the industry now with social media, digital media, and all the different forums that are happening. It's, there's definitely a lot going on in the tiling landscape, that's for sure. And mate, whereabouts are you? Are you top or bottom of Tas?
So I am top, Northwest Coast.
Yep.
In Penguin, which I think last time I told someone that they just laughed. It is a real place, people.
Yeah,
it's actually
not making it up.
No, promise. And pretty fortunate, actually. Did
you experience that cold snap that went through Tasmania about a week and a half ago, where I think they recorded temperatures of like minus 16.9 degrees?
Yeah, so it was so weird because, like, I think I can't remember if it was like Lyweedy or some little town way further out. Was like colder than when I was in Japan in winter up in the mountains, but we didn't feel it though. Because I am right coastal, so I don't know if that makes a difference. But I was like, oh, we were still getting sun, and it was like brisk, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
That's
right.
either me living here for way too long, or it actually wasn't that cold.
Yeah. Nice. I remember seeing.
Yeah.
I saw mainstream media. They had a few people on there, and I didn't catch the locations or whereabouts in Tasmania it was, but I imagine it must have been elevated. And they had a hotel owner on there, and they said they had like 4 or 5 different rooms. Pipes had busted and all that sort of stuff. There was a lot of flooding because obviously the pipes froze because those sort of temperatures are Antarctica style. Temperatures where things just freeze.
That's crazy.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
it wasn't far from us, but yeah.
Yeah, I digress. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. I should probably get back on track. So, mate, tell me about your journey as a tiling contractor. Let's talk about what you find more of the most rewarding parts of being a contractor and sort of. Do you consider it an art form, and if so, why? What? Talk us through that.
Yeah, to talk about the rewards of it, I think we're so fortunate in this trade. There's a lot of trades. Every trade has their own form of art form to it, but a lot of them are sparkies, even plumbers to an extent. A lot of it's hidden, the work that they do, even some builders. But for us, everything is just insight. Whatever work you do, is just out there to be seen. And if you do a good job, the reward is that people go, "Wow, that looks awesome," or "Oh, you've done such a good job," because it's just all visual. I love that, and even if no one even sometimes people come in, you probably killed yourself doing an amazing job getting everything level and to the mill. They may not even notice that, but you do, and that self-satisfaction is just I love that.
Yeah, nice. And how many years have you been on the tools now?
So I worked this out and then I forgot, and then I had to rework it out again. That should say how long it's been.
A long
time. I started at 15 or 16. So I'd say I'm getting close to like 18, 19 years maybe.
Wow.
I think it's up there. That's
is this your sort of forever career? There's no changing, no going into cooking or anything at a later stage, or?
No, I think that I'll always be in the trade. Like, I've thought about this a while, and I'll always be in the trade. And even if there's going to become a point where you will get older and you may not want to be on the tools, but I still think that I will still be in the trade. Another format of it somewhere. I mean, even like what you're doing here now, with the podcast, like it's all still in the trade. And that's, I think for sure, 100% I'll always be in it.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. What's, provided the days that you have, what's your favourite part of the day when it comes to getting out there and doing it? Is it actually the creation or the art form of putting it all together, or is it the business entrepreneurship with quoting and obtaining work? Is that sort of part of it, or how do you break it down?
It's a good question. Look, they all can be good at times, and they all can be a nightmare at times. Like sometimes the quoting part, the business side of things, can be really enjoyable. Like when things go ahead to plan and you're working stuff out. Same with being actually on a job when you finish things or you've got it all mapped out and you're like, right, this is all set to go tomorrow. I'm going to have a killer day. We're just going to tile this out and this is going to go smooth. That's also really rewarding as well. But then you have other times where it doesn't always go to plan. You end up being a bit longer than you thought, or you even like just driving around doing quotes. Sounds cruisy because you get 5 coffees and just drive around, but then sometimes that can be, Yeah,
exactly. And is 5 coffees too many? That's the question.
Look, never. This is the thing though. See, I had to limit myself because my missus was like, you have way too much caffeine, because I take like probably, I don't know, some people call it a pre-workout or whatever, but it's just like a sugar-free energy can. So I'll have that like midday, but then I also need something for gym as well. So I sort of I try and space my coffees out with my cans. Yeah, not as bad as it sounds, but. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's only because we can't see the labels on the podcast.
That's it.
If we saw that, we'd be like, oh my God, what have we done?
This guy's he's gonna die. Yeah.
No, nice, man. So, like in terms of project work, or actually I should ask before I even go to that question, what's the market like in Tasmania at the moment for work? Is it buoyant? Is it or is it the opposite of that?
It's actually really good. So we don't have a lot of crews down here, as in like big tiling crews. It's pretty much everyone's just a tiler with perhaps an apprentice, maybe a team of 3, maybe if you're lucky. But so there's heaps of work for it. If you want to head into the niche work of just doing fancy bathrooms and high end stuff, Hobart has all that kind of stuff, and up here as well to a degree. And then there's heaps of spec work. Not as much commercials or anything, but there is tons of work.
Yeah, nice. It's always been that way that I've remembered, particularly in the times that I've been in Tasmania for work. There's always been an abundance of work, but I'm seeing, obviously we're seeing now in the current climate that you have to fight a little bit harder to get the jobs, and there's a lot of competition out there. But that's, everything swings and roundabouts, and I get that. So it's interesting. And it's pocket related too, like, Tasmania has always been, I think, one of those places where there's always been work. If you're excellent at your craft, it's pretty. So I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's effective to get work when you're looking for it.
100%. I think if you just move down here and no one knows who you are, because it's such a small place, people are like, I haven't heard of this person before. And word of mouth is literally probably the biggest advertisement down here. Yeah. And it can either cripple you or it can benefit. I mean, if you do a bad job, that spreads really fast. Yeah, that's what I like about it down here, though, because if you do a good job, or if you sometimes a builder you've never heard of, you're a bit sus about, you just call someone and ask someone, you might not know them, but you say, have you worked for this guy? And then people are like, oh yeah, look, I wouldn't go down that path.
Save your pennies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's right.
No, that's pretty cool. Mate, I have no doubt that you've worked on some challenging projects in your career. Can you reflect upon one and tell us how you overcome a particular challenge in tiling?
So I was thinking about how I'd answer this question because I had this job. It's almost like you asked me about it directly. So I had this job a little while ago, maybe a year or two, that I took on. We don't get a lot of big luxury houses here in Tassie. So, like, we do have them, but not, to the extent of what you guys have. So this was a pretty big home, probably up around about 5 mil or something. So much tile work, all natural stone, all the way through it. And I got the job, and I was like, sweet, this is a huge job. So it was close to like 300 meters at the start when I looked at it, for one man. But I was like, no, I love working with natural stone. And it wasn't that the job was out of my skill set. I was very comfortable with it. And I thought, this is sweet. But the client, so it was sort of like half and half between, there was a builder, but I wasn't really working with the builder. I was working more with the client. Anyway, long story short, it was probably the hardest client I've ever worked for ever. And if it's a small job like a bathroom, you ride it through, it's not a big deal. But being the length of this job was just so stressful because every day there was no plans, no structure. Things changed and attitudes changed daily. So I was like, what? Anyway, I ended up getting fired coming back, getting asked to come back, and then nearly getting fired again. And and it was like, it's just. But I just kept thinking, if I do this job, I'll because this is the whole thing I kept being told was, if you finish this job, you'll put your name to this house. And I thought that. But what I've learned from that is that you are your own skill set, and you should never change that. I let that thought come into play. So I had people trying to fight me on price all the time with everything. And it was, you should never have to do that. Like your price is your price. And I kept being told, but this is such a big job, so you should do it cheaper. And it's like what I've come out of the end of the job. So I left it halfway, which was good, sort of on good terms, which was kind of good as well too. Yeah. And I think they had like another tiler, and then they got another tiler after that. Like that sort of shows you what type of job it was like. But what I took from it is just like you should never adjust your price or your worth for what a job is. This is what you're worth, and that's it. Yep. And then don't change that. But I should have known that, but you keep learning, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, mate, look, it's really interesting. I mean, a couple of things there, and mate, I agree with you. I mean, it's like when you work out what your hourly rate is, right? Let's just say you're on an hourly rate. Not everyone is, but you calculate what your hourly rate is based upon what you believe your worth is to whatever your craft trade skill is. Well, it could be sales, it could be, it could be a contractor, it could be a tiling contractor, it could be a pastry chef, but you can work out that time, and that time that you're giving someone else is incredibly valuable, and it's what you think of your ability to be able to deliver on time and on budget if it happens to so be in the construction industry. And I find it I don't know, condescending is probably the wrong word, but I just find it a bit rude that someone would come to you mid contract or mid project and go, look, mate, we know that you're quoting this price, but we need you to slice it by 20%. It's like, but mate, that's the price that I quoted. Like, why are we shifting goalposts? A third of the way through the project. Like, I don't get it.
Exactly. It is so offensive, isn't it? Like, I would, if I went to a mechanic or anyone and I was like, look, can you lower your hourly rate? I would see that as so offensive, but some people do, hey?
Yeah, they do. And I think some people, it comes back to the mastery of knowing business and understanding, as you've put, your worth is incredibly important. Understanding how your business operates and what your profitability needs to be and where to draw the lines and that sort of thing. And also, I imagine relationships play a massive part. But there's big learnings from those types of experiences, mate. So you've obviously come out the other side rather stronger than when you were going through that.
Yes, a little bit more savvy.
Yeah, and I imagine that you haven't changed. You haven't let anybody pull that trick on you again.
No, 100% no. I probably actually adjusted my price after that because it's like sometimes you go on a price that's around, like maybe most tilers are on this, but then everyone does different work. Everyone's doing it. Like some people are just doing spec work, which nothing wrong with that. No. But then if you're doing higher end stuff that takes time and, it takes a bit more knowledge and you had to learn to get there, I feel like, it just costs more. I mean, it is expensive, isn't it? Like if you want a bathroom in travertine or you want one in porcelain tile, well, travertine's going to be dearer, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the price of the product will also determine the price of the installation. I mean, that's... like porcelain tiles, ceramic tiles indicate a price, and then I'm not going to get into price segment on the schedule on the episode because that'll just get me into trouble. But certainly, when you're doing certainly when you're doing things like natural stone and more complex tiling work, you're going to be paying more for the install. It's not going to be the same price, and it's not going to be cheaper. Like think about what you're asking the contractor to install and that will dictate it. Like if travertine is $100 a square metre, let's say, and that's probably on the light side of a quality product out of a really well-known country. I mean, what's the going rate could be, I'm just going to pluck a number, it could be 150 a square metre,
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it's certainly not going to be the same rate as what you would pay to install a 600 by 600 porcelain 12 mil tile. That's, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, well said. That's right.
Well, mate, I've got some really other cool questions here. So I would like to know how, and I'm sure Tasmania is not much different from the mainland. Not that you guys are an island or anything. Well, you are, but you're part of Australia.
We try.
Yeah. How do you guys? Yeah. How do you stay up sort of the latest trends and techniques in the tiling industry down there? Are there particular ways that you do that specifically?
Yeah. So we do get the trades a fraction later. You sort of see them going on in Melbourne and Sydney, and then. I don't know, we're still on herringbone. I do want to know if that has changed in any other, because I do have more herringbone than anything. It does come down and have that, but what I do, I'm very fortunate. I've got a really good network in the industry of people, whether it's designers or manufacturers, that I can call up and talk to about new designs and trends, or how this trend's going, and the downsides, or how to work around it or with it. So that's generally what. And I think you have to have that, because otherwise, if someone says, "Hey, I'd like to have herringbone or fish scale or whatever it is," and you've never done it, there's a fair bit to it, a little bit more to learn. Yeah.
I know there's. The TAFEs are down there in Tasmania. I know they have they do some work in the Certificate 3 wall and floor tiling.
Yes.
And the tile retail stores down there, do they do a lot in terms of getting the information or the latest information out to the tiling contractors in around the different places?
I don't think our tile shops are quite up to speed with that stuff. From what I've noticed, I think some of the ones I've noticed on the mainland seem to be a bit more better with that kind of stuff. Ours aren't really onto that. That's more a you, like just something you have to learn yourself. But yeah, like again, even just other tilers that are on the mainland, that also too is a bonus, just to get a chat and be like, hey, how'd you go with this? What'd you do with this pattern or this design? And that I think is probably one of the best wealth you can have in the trade, just to other people that have done there and been there.
Do you have a bit of a network with other contractors around Australia?
I do a little bit. I like to actually just some of them I've never met in person, and then others social media is brilliant for this, where you can end up you've been chatting to these people for years. And seeing how it's going in their state, what different things like that. That is, I think, probably one of the most invaluable things. But yeah, I've got a pretty decent little network of people that we all keep in touch and talk.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, super important in everything you do in life, really. Hey. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, mate, tell me. Yeah, obviously you do a range of tiling work in your scope. What sort of advice would you give, say, a homeowner who is considering a tiling renovation in their home?
Yeah, so I think that one of the most important things you could do is talk to your tiler first, which seems a bit weird, because you think, oh no, I'd organise everything then talk to my contractor. Reason why I say that is because the tiler can give you a wealth of information before you choose your tiles. While tile shops can help, you might be swayed by a price or a special of something that you think, oh, I'll do that. But we can help with the sizing for your area, or what would be best for your shower. That kind of stuff is and cleaning, which I think is every second question us tilers get. What's the easiest tile to clean? Those kind of questions that we can answer would probably be invaluable to you to take to a tile shop.
Yeah, wow. It's sort of like part of your skill is the installation, and the other part sort of advice, design, consult, in the other part.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do much of that? You should be paid. Yeah, mate, true, 100%. Is that something that you do often? Like do you find that there's a bit of engagement before people actually go down the path of buying?
There is a little bit. Some time ago, when I was with my brother working, we were like, "Oh, we should do a design course because that would be really good to go with the business." I started it. I never completed it, but there's a little bit more to it than I thought. And doing it after hours was harder. But so it's nothing that we incorporated in the business, but I have that knowledge of having a little bit of that there. So that I think is just so handy in our trade because a lot of some people don't mention it to you that what they really want. But once they realise you're so keen to talk about what design and what they're feeling, then they just run with it, and then you know where they're at.
A brief word from our sponsor. Are you looking for a water drainage solution that serves its purpose and adds a touch of elegance to your space? Lux's Grates are here to revolutionise your indoor and outdoor applications. Whether it's a shower, bathroom, balcony, pool, or any other area, Lux's Grates is the ideal choice. It's quick and easy installation that you can bang out in just over an hour. Their standard grates offer a classic and timeless look, while the next generation style adds a modern twist to your space. Lux's grates are made of high quality anodised aluminium, ensuring durability and longevity.
Can you discuss with myself and the audience what the importance is of using sort of high quality materials in tiling, and from your perspective, how much does it impact the final result and quality, warranties, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you know that meme of like the guy that's laying in bed and she's like, I wonder what he's thinking about someone else, but he's actually thinking about the job.
Yeah,
where that's
yes.
So that I think to a measure is, in a way, if you're using high quality materials, you get that little bit more peace of mind. So even though yes, you can use subpar and it can pass standard, but if you use something that meets and exceeds the Australian standard, you have the peace of mind, and you know that bathroom is going to have that longevity. It's going to withstand a little bit more frequent showers or washes or whatever. And yeah, sorry, do we mention brands on here? Can we?
You can mention brands, mate. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. What are your go-to?
Well, I did use Laddercrete for a long period of time. That is a bit harder to do it in Tassie at the moment. I do use a little bit of Ardex as well, but Marpe is what I've been using for a while now, and I love their range of stuff. They've just got so much good product to use that we can access down here anyway, because it's always about location. Sometimes you prefer a brand, but you can't get it. But yeah, they've just been fantastic. And I just know that it's a high quality material, that we're using.
Mm. Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of different adhesive and waterproofing, even caulking companies in Australia. So it must be a hard choice. Is there anything in particular that stands out? Is it the warranty that Marpe offers that stands out the most?
Yeah.
Or is it more the quality, just the quality of the products you're using?
Yeah, I think I did. This is something I've been meaning to actually finish for ages. Something I was doing with my brother. We had a bunch of different glues and screeds, and we made some tests with them. They all were all brands that you could use that were fine, but a couple of them were just like so much better. But when you actually test it out, you use them and they're good. You just know, wow, okay, this thing's going to go off hard. That's going to last forever. So we're always meaning to finish it and actually do the full, like whether a YouTube video or something, just on these brands and how they performed each. Some of them are terrible.
Yeah.
So they just don't cut mustard. Yeah. So that sort of that gives you that confidence, you know.
Yeah, and it sort of, I suppose it gives you peace of mind, as you said before, that you can go to sleep at night and you're not sitting there having to have your eyes open for 4 hours at night while you're lying in bed thinking, is that job going to last? I'm not sure.
Exactly. I'll still do that, but just because that's just what I do. I think that's every small business owner, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
right. Yeah, interesting, mate. Mapei's been around in the country for a long time, and look, there's many companies out there, and I appreciate your short thoughts on that. What about I suppose tools is probably another thing, but for you, is it much the same, or is it just whatever notch trowel you grab off the shelf?
No, I think so. Tools actually play a huge part for me. I'm always getting new tools and reviewing new tools for the trade. So I used to. Everyone used to sort of laugh at me because I'd always have like a Chinese grinder or something that I bought off. And don't get me wrong, they're still lurking somewhere around the van. But now I probably, if there's a tool out there that I'll try it, I don't care how much it is. Yeah. I'll try it and test it. If it makes you faster or better, or a better finish. And we're so fortunate because we have a whole range of new tools for it. Like even just in cutters, I've been using the Sakoua now for a bit and I love that. Before it was pretty much just Sigma, Ruby, down here mainly anyway. Yeah. So now we've got that incorporated. That's awesome. But I'll order tools from anywhere. Like when I went to Japan, I got some really cool tools up there as well for tiling and stuff. Just to try out.
Yeah, nice.
And obviously a lot of Makita stuff because I'm a huge Makita person. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Good warranties on Makita as well. Yeah. No, very cool, mate. That's awesome. In terms of your client relationships, how do you go about? I suppose this is a really deep question, right? So, and it sort of jumps around. We're jumping around a bit, but I'm curious to know how you ensure that the vision of what they were chasing is realised in that finished project. Like, what's your methodology around ensuring that at the last hurdle, you're having a conversation with a customer and you can just either see the smile on their face and they're so happy, or they're full of compliments. Like, what is it for you? How do you make sure that?
That's so one of the biggest stresses for me is not knowing what they want. So if somebody says, "Look, here's the plans. This is what it is, and do it." You can do that. Technically, it's there. It's on paper. I pretty much nearly every time will do a walkthrough, meet the client, do a walkthrough with them. They'll tell me what they want. Excuse me. And find out, like, sometimes they've got Pinterest boards and stuff of bathrooms, all these, close to what they want. But you see what they want, and then you're like, oh, okay, do you realise there's no trim in this bathroom? Oh, okay, they don't know about maybe miters. So then you run them through that, and you can say, look, we can do this. Obviously, everything changes the price, but you can run them through everything that they might want. And then they might be like, oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, no, I want to, epoxy mitered edge. I think that sounds amazing. And then you know that when they're coming in, it's not going to be the surprise of they're like, oh, okay, that's what it looks like. But they have more of an idea, so they're excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah. That's very cool. Very cool.
Yes. Sometimes I think doesn't always go to plan. There's probably only once I think that I've had someone come through, done a walkthrough, written everything down that they want, and then it hasn't gone like to what they exactly wanted it. But sometimes you just can't win in those things. But that's like 1 in 20 years.
So do you have like a design diagram that's built so that they can visually see the craft that you're going to install on their project?
So I don't, but my brother does. So he,
oh, nice.
I know when he does his, they can see the whole thing in a 3D CAD like picture before he does it.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm not quite up there. I just talk with them about it.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, you're having the conversation. Do you engage in written contracts and stuff with your clients when you're doing the work?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of the times, and sometimes just to have something like even this job I'm doing now, it's actually a very basic job. But the guy, we've done our walkthrough, we talked about everything pretty simple, basic, and on the plans. But then we just shot each other through a written thing, just to confirm it, just so that it's there written, even just a text, just to cover yourself that little bit more. And then they both know. And then also too, 'cause sometimes you might even forget, so it's just a little reassurance thing. But 100%. I feel like that's probably the best advice for any contractor, really, isn't it?
Mate, I agree. I think I've had many conversations over my journey, being in the tiling industry for about 22 years now, across different businesses that I've worked for, but the amount of contractors that I have spoken to, and not all tiling contractors, but many that I have spoken to, there has been a handful that, you ask them the question, what does a contract look like that you ask the client to sign? And they're like, oh, I don't have a contract. I've never done them. And I'm like, well, mate, you put yourself in a really tough spot because, it's your word versus what they say. And, the ramifications of that post, the work that you're doing, is just going to end up in a court battle. And neither party wants to go there, but that's the only way to try and recover the costs and your time. And without anything in writing, the judge is probably going to look at it and go, well, what do you want me to do? Like, how do I ruin this? I mean,
Exactly. That's right. We found that because sometimes you'd be like, oh, no, all good. You just sign the contract. And then people are like, I don't know to sign anything, you trust me or whatever. And maybe they are really trusting people, but as soon as you sign something, people feel a little bit intimidated. I would always word it as, this is more to protect you from me. Just in case anything should happen on my work, you're saved by signing this. And then automatically people go, oh yeah, okay. So if they got a bad job, they're cool. It has to, and then you're protected because you're going to do good work anyway. But then they've got that state of mind where it's like, okay, and you've covered yourself then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, I agree. I mean, the really unfortunate thing about it is every case that I've seen where, it has turned out terrible, whether it be for the contractor or the client, there's nothing in writing. And it's just a conversation that happened. And you're right. Like sometimes people do get, or consumers get nervous about signing documents. But then on the other hand, you're like, guys, you can't go and borrow money from the bank to buy a house without signing documentation. You can't go and buy a script from a chemist without having a written prescription from a doctor. You can't do a lot of things without signing anything, without having some sort of contract in place. So it's no different. And I think it also adds a layer of professionalism when you are documenting what you're doing. So not only is there a protection for both parties, but it's also, well, this is the professionalism that I deliver in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. 100%.
All right. And now, well, mate, we're getting very, very close to the end. But I just want to say once again, thank you for coming on today. I would like to know what you are seeing are future trends or innovations in tiling that you're getting excited about, if there are any, I should say, first of all. And if there are, how do you plan to incorporate them into the work that you're doing?
So I've been really wanting to get into the big porcelain slab market. I know my brother's laid some. I've been pushing most jobs that say they don't want any grout joins. I haven't actually had the opportunity yet because up this end of the coast, it's not super popular. Hobart actually is a little bit, but that's where I'd like to go. I think that would be pretty cool. I think, no grout joins. Well, minimal, I should say. Sorry, minimal grout joints. I think that'd just be awesome. Yeah, that's one. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, it's we've had. Oh, look, I still remember when I worked at National Tiles a long time ago. We introduced panels, porcelain panels back. Oh, mate, it would have been 2014, 2015. And that was in Port Melbourne when I was living in Melbourne, and we did a lot of work. Yeah. We did a lot of work around training and educating, and the right equipment and the right adhesives, and the talking about the substrates. But it has had a very stop-start introduction into Australia, and even in New Zealand, you won't see much of it around there. It's a complex product that brings a whole bunch of different challenges. When you learn them, it can be a good product to install. But I think in Melbourne, for example, I was talking to a couple of lads that I know that work at Constantino, and they've only got a couple of contractors that they've got access to that can do the panels. There's not many people that are touching it. So
that's I've heard that. I don't know if that's a sign because they were running a course. Somewhere up in Melbourne. I can't remember who was doing it. There was a fair few. But I thought there's no point doing it if you don't end up getting any work here for it.
Well, that's right. Yeah. If you go to all the trouble of learning the art of installing the panels, and then you can't influence consumers to buy them. Yeah,
that's right. I think I'm told that they do. Yes, they are expensive, but if you break it down in the meterage, it's not too bad. As far as a really dear tile. It's just that people see the one panel and they think, well, it is expensive. But in comparison.
I think it gets a bit challenging when you try and drill a hole in a third in from the side and that sort of stuff. It can get a bit dicey. Sometimes they can be a little bit brittle. And I think the thing is, if you don't have the right equipment, you're asking for trouble straight away.
Yeah, 100%. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Well, mate, that's nearly us for today. I suppose one question that I love to ask our guests when they come on the show is just to get a bit of an idea, personally and or professionally, what's going on for the rest of the year. What is any exciting things happening for work, play, or fun for the balance of 2024? Now that we're halfway through.
Yeah, came so fast too, didn't it?
Oh, 100%.
I've got some cool bathrooms lined up to do that I'm looking forward to. Always ones that are going to look really good, go really well for social media as well. So that's exciting. As far as I'm going to Bali in 2 weeks, so I'm counting that down. That should be pretty. It's my first time going there, so that'll be exciting. And as far as fun goes, this is probably like that. Probably sound a fraction sad, but gym life is pretty important, and that's something that due to travel and a few things, I dropped off from that a little while ago, and I'm really glad to be getting back into that. So I'm a good month or so back into that. So that makes you feel so good for the trade. Hey, you just you feel good inside, mental clarity and physical. But that's me. There's not a lot going on there.
No, mate. Hey, that's
work.
Those buckets are definitely over halfway full. When you look at all three of those, Bali will be bloody brilliant. And I've never been, but I'll get there eventually. And mate, going to the gym and looking after your health and your mental health and well-being is really important. And I'm the same as you. I find gym that place of peace. If I get lost at any stage with anything that I'm doing, I'll head to a class and just go and zone out. And
100%.
Well, Paul, mate, before we wrap up today, obviously we love to ask our guests that have been on the show a little bit about how the community can connect in with you. Of course, if they want to check out, say, some of the work that you're doing and or connect with you directly, how do they go about checking out some of the workmanship that you've done, and how can they connect in?
So Instagram, Island Tiling at Instagram is the best way to contact me. If you want to DM me for work or a collaboration or for tools or anything like that, that's where you'll contact me best, and I'll get onto that pretty straight away. Nice, mate. Well, that's great to know. I will definitely make sure that those details are put into the show notes so that everyone has nice, easy access to that. And mate, as we like to say it on every show, until next time, stay connected. Thanks for being a guest on the show today. It's been a bloody pleasure having you on, and keep building the dream of strengthening the business of tiling, mate. But thanks for being a part of today's show. Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, it's been cool.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Tiling Connect. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Tiling Connect, jump on our socials and follow us via LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook. If you'd like to be part of the show, email us at tilingconnect@gmail.com. Until next time, stay connected.